No, brilliant. Hello there. So you're in Florida, Taj.
Yes, I am.
Is that to go on, preparing to go on the cruise, the
That's
R&B?
correct.
Is this the first time you've done one of those, or?
Oh no, this is like my 39th one or something like that.
Oh, it's good, good lifestyle, isn't it? You know, being able to play and sail at the same time.
Well, it's all wonderful.
You know, so you got a new album. I was just talking about that. You know, the swinging live at the Tulsa Church coming out. How did that come about? I mean, what's your association with the recording studio?
Well, my association. First of all, I always have lots of music, and they're with the way the business is these days. You know, how do we want to say it? Uh, um, an artist of that has a career like mine oftentimes is hidden in plain sight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And so they the industry's moved from being a group of people who love music and want to put the music out and share it, and to a bunch of people who only know about making money at music. So they really have no cultural significance. It has no real cultural significance, or it has cultural significance in that paradigm and in that construct and matrix. Okay,
yeah.
so for me, I've always tended after the first two major labels that I was on, longest on Columbia Sony, and then secondly, I was on briefly on Warner Brothers. I've done all the music that has come out. Pretty much has been independent labels. Well, maybe the third one would have been private music. Okay, and but other than that, all my music has been you know, independent situations. So I had a great quintet going, I mean, sextet going. And I had heard about this studio, and they were asking, was I interested in doing a recording project there? And I thought about it. I said, well, it'd be great. Live audience, church, it would have excellent sound. So I was able to take a tour of the facility, and I did know Leon Russell
Yeah.
back in the '60s. We were connected, and then I somewhere along in the 2000s we were on a project together that T-Bone Burnett put together, and I hadn't seen him in a long time. Anyway, liked his work. I think if he only made those two tunes, uh, you know. Masquerade and a song for you, you
Mm.
know, uh, maybe Delta Lady too, for his country sound.
Yeah.
But those three songs. I mean, it would have been all that was needed, you know, to cement him into the stars, you know. But yeah, it was through Claudia Lanier, who came down to play there and played at the place and was talking with um, Teresa Knox, who she and I believe her husband put quite a bit of money into this place, and you know, and then she also did a wonderful bronze statue of Leon in front. And I think she grew up in that area and was a big fan of Leon's.
Mm.
And so, the possibility of being in a great sounding hall to record live music was what really excited me about going there. And so we did, and we got a deal to be able to put it out, and here we are. There's three or four different pieces of music, out on vinyl right now.
Yeah. Yeah. How did you come to construct the set list for that show?
No, there's no constructing a set list. I don't ever write down a set list. I get up and I feel whatever I feel from the audience and start. start somewhere and go till it's time to stop. You know, I just, it's like, I really, it's like, okay, I'm not a machine. I'm not, I'm not trying to multiply the same thing twice. I don't want to make 2 million, plastic soup spoons. So what I do is that, all I get out of it every night is the joy to play the music the way I want it, hear it the way I want it, enjoy it. And it's my hope that everybody that comes there gets the same kind of enjoyment that I do out of it. But that's it. So for me, every night, no set list. I don't ever write up. I've never had a set list.
So is the as your band, your sextet, are they well drilled then? Do they know what you're going to come up with next? Or
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, they're always that way. I mean, different bands is different things, but yeah, the guys that played with me for the longest, you know, they know what it is. People are always saying, "Oh, how do you know?" I said, "Well, you can hear hear where he goes in terms of what 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 I start out playing, and the song is different every night, but it's also there's a similarity to different songs and different chords that I'm gonna play when it's a song, and you know." And sometimes there's a lead in, that tells everybody where we're going, what key we're in.
indeed, I mean, and also it's been nominated. You're nominated again for Best Traditional Blues Album at the Grammys as well.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you've had, you probably have a record amount of nominations, I should think by now,
No, no,
and a few
no, I don't.
awards.
I had, and the first nomination came for Sounder
Yeah,
in 1973.
yeah.
And then, I think over the years it's been about 15 nominations, and it's been, yeah, 13 or 15 nominations. It's been four wins, you
Yeah.
know.
That's an achievement, isn't it? Some achievements, really, I mean,
Uh,
obviously on top of your game, you've still got the passion for what you do.
well, yeah. I mean, that's to get to do what you want to do with music, and play it the way you want to. And be able to make a living at it. I mean, you're asking for a lot.
I mean, looking back, from the beginning, from the Rising Suns, from starting within that to where you are now. I mean, it's been one great adventure, hasn't it? Really, in music,
Well, my life has been a great adventure,
yeah,
my
yeah,
dear man. I mean, it's like I didn't just start at the Rising Suns. That's when I came to California. But the music started, for me, back in the '40s when I was in single digits.
yeah,
Probably before that one, I was probably when I was in utero. But both my parents are musical. My mother sang a lot, but she was a school teacher. Eventually ended up with a master's degree in education and started out with early childhood, development and childhood education. And then my father was self-taught, self-learned, well, in terms of education. In terms of music, he was a classically trained Caribbean piano player
yeah.
who played all the music, the bebop and swing, and jump band music, and I mean, I got to hear all that when I was growing up in single digits, along with, smatterings of this kind of music and that kind of music. I became very interested in, you know, sort of folk style music, something that seemed to it didn't have to do with Sammy Kahn or Irving Berlin writing it in New York City or Tin Pan Alley. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, there's some stuff that came through there, like Pat Swaller maybe.
Mm.
I liked his stuff too. But yeah, the early guys were for me were from Coleman Hawkins, Erskine Hawkins,
Mm.
um, Avery Parish, Lloyd Glenn, um, Nat King Cole. Let me think of Earl Hines, Earl Papa Hines. You know, um, see, what was the guy's name? Illinois Jackhead,
Mm.
you know, um, those kind of people like that. Count Basie, um, Jimmy Rushing, you know,
Yeah.
Helen Humes, Savannah Churchill, you know, um, Sister Rosetta Tharpe, Mahalia Jackson, all that kind of, just a lot of it. Back in the 40s, the music was bigger inside of the people than it was in the music business. Now, you know, the music business is scooped up so much of it, and that's what I think started that big thing in the 60s, when young kids were just tired of being fed what somebody wanted to feed
Mm.
them. And they went back to, some earlier things 30 years earlier. And
Yeah.
that's when they started picking up Booker White and Mississippi John Hurt,
Mm.
and Brownie McGee and Sonny Terry and Reverend Gary Davis and Elizabeth Cotton and Mrs. Etta Baker and on and on and on and on and on. You could keep continuing. Sleepy John Estes, Fred McDowell, Son House, you know, Lightning Hopkins, Robert Johnson, you know, Furry Lewis, Memphis Willie B, Gus Cannon, all those people like that. Oh, and Memphis Minnie, you know, and yeah, there's a lot of different people. Sippy Wallace, Lucille Bogan, Louise Johnson, you know, yeah.
All big, well-loved names. I mean, talking about younger people going back to them, the Rolling Stones were involved in that, weren't they?
Oh
Discovering,
yeah, most
and then
definitely.
you got to
Yeah,
work
yeah.
with them as well too.
Well, that whole Northern Soul and that was, to me, it was quite exciting. And it was also a puzzle. How is it I'm in the middle of the night, I hear this guy, I hear this group, and it wakes me up because it's like intense, and it obviously has learned what the real value of American music is, particularly music from the South and the blues. And it turns out to be Van Morrison singing in this band called Them. It's a song called Gloria, you know. And then it took me a while to kind of understand where the young British um, musicians trying to really find something that represented how they actually felt. And they found it in the blues. I mean, this is after World War II. You guys are under, you know, UK was under some serious, austere methods.
Mm.
I was looking at a thing with Bill Wyman the other day, and he was talking about, ducking into a shelter when the the German aircraft were strafing the streets, and or seeing the Spitfires trying to take out the German bombers.
Yeah.
That's going overhead. And then British Empire was changing. They were retracting their tentacles from all the places they had been around the world, you know, and the war, really hit them hard. And so people were, the young people coming up in that environment bombed out London, bombed out Birmingham, or wherever, the Germans dropped bombs on it.
Yeah.
I mean, you had to come back from that. And the only thing that's going to work for that situation is the blues.
Yeah.
Nothing else. But at the time when they were coming out with it, because I started listening to the skiffle bands. I was a radio kid. I
Yeah.
listened to radio a lot, particularly in the night. I even built myself a crystal radio set, to hear music in the night, because you hear stuff that you didn't play during the day. And I started hearing these skiffle bands, and I started wondering, how can they 3,000 miles away from me be, hear this stuff? Where do they hear it? Because they were playing a lot of tunes
Yeah.
I didn't know, you know. And well, and then eventually, you find out that, there are record companies that, if you found out about some music, you could write to them and they would send them to you in the mail. I never got a record in the mail until Catch a Fire came in the mail to me from the Wailers. That was a well-grown man
Yeah,
then.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you've you've traversed over many musical styles and incorporated that.
Because I am many musical styles. You can't take me out
Exactly.
of Africa and put me in South America, in Brazil, in Central America, and the Caribbean, and the South, and I'm not connected to the blood in that music? Are you
Yeah.
kidding me? You know, nobody ever seems to think of it that way. They seem to think of it, well, since we put it in different boxes, I'm going into different boxes. No, I'm just relating to my relatives, to my to my ancestors, and what they gave me the gift of music and the communication through
Yeah.
music. You
Yeah.
know.
I was going to say because when you do that, it's unmistakably a Taj Mahal record.
Yeah.
Whereas a
Right.
lot of people try to do it and it doesn't quite work. You really,
Well,
you really have your authority all over it. It's you. Which is
yeah.
remarkable.
Well, it's it that that isn't an impossibility because that's why I came west to California to play with Ry Cooder because
Yeah.
Ry Cooder was one of the guys who heard the music, heard acknowledged the music for what it is, and then took the template and then put himself in there because that's what the deal is. Just copying the music is what you do in the beginning when you're trying to learn it. But what the law and rule is, the cardinal rule is, you have to put your voice inside the music and create something that is you with the music. That's why there's been maybe three or four guitar players that'll play with me, or Ry Cooder, and then Jesse Ed Davis. And the reason I played with him was the same thing. Is that everybody was playing the songs and the blues exactly like the example that they had. He heard the music. He played his own soul, like Ry played his own soul in the music.
Yeah.
Hochschild Wright played his own soul in the music, and so nowadays it's Johnny Lee, you know, Johnny Lee Shell, and you hear him play, and it's Johnny Lee, and it's Hochschild, and it's Jesse Davis, because that's the cardinal rule is that you learn the music, you learn from your elders and example, but you have to come up with your own voice.
Yes, that's right. And I mean, you came back full circle with Rye on the Get On Board album. What was that
Mm-hmm.
experience like, Taj?
Oh, it's big fun. I mean, I've always held that man in high esteem. Like I said, I came out
Yeah.
to California because I heard him teach some other guy, and if he could if he was as young as he was teaching some guy who was a few years older than him, this kid must be somebody, is somebody I was really looking for, because I didn't want to play music that sounded something like something.
Yeah.
Wanted to come up and figure that a bunch of guys together, we could create a new sound
Mm.
in this music. But, of course, we ran into the whole, studio band, the Wrecking Crew was making all the records in California,
Yes.
and that's what they wanted to do. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want somebody to come in, make my record, and then I go out and play what they put out there. It's
Yeah.
like, you know,
That's your independent streak, isn't it? Your uniqueness, isn't it? That's what creates who you are, really. You know,
mm,
it's that's just it runs through all of your albums, the DNA of that. It's a remarkable body of work. And I was just thinking about when you worked with Keb Mo and Taj Mo. I mean, Keb Mo again, he's very similar in that he's unique. He is that, is Keb Mo, is Taj Mahal. How was
yeah.
how was that
Well,
working relationship? How creatively did you spark off together?
oh yeah, I was the one that came to him and said, "Man, we need to do a record together." But no, he's definitely one of one of my disciples. I
Yeah,
mean, for about 25 years, well, nearly 25 years, there wasn't nobody out there was playing stuff, listening to the same kind of stuff I was, and coming up with something, and then all of a sudden started to be, and now I'm comfortable with the young people out there who say I was really amongst the people that inspired them to do what they did. But whether you know it or not, there's a second Keb Taj Mo album coming,
Mm.
and we should be hearing about that. It's called Room on the Porch,
Oh,
and and that's coming up soon, and we'll be out touring, I think, in June
right.
this year, and I think that drops in maybe March, April, in and around that time. And
Yeah,
we're back at it again,
yeah.
and the record's been done for a while now,
Might you
and
be
they're
coming
ready to
over?
move forward.
Might you be coming over to the UK or Europe at some point, do you think? Any promoters?
Well, we've been talking about that. I mean, uh, yeah, we haven't. Actually, I was really glad my daughter was there just recently. Diva Mahal, she was there playing.
Yeah,
And um, yeah, we're looking into it. Might be the fall.
brilliant. I'll be there, certainly for that. It'll be kind of a remarkable thing. Can I just talk to you about also a couple of people you've worked with and known? I mean, I'm a big fan of Gene Clark,
Oh yeah.
especially the No Other album. Again, a unique artist and an amazing album. How did you get together, get to know each other, and what was your
Well,
relationship like, please?
yeah, all those guys were in and around the Birds, and the Birds, came basically Jim McGuinn, um, came out of kind of a folk bag. Yeah, in fact, I was reading something about him not too long ago. He was in from Chicago, and he had gone to the folk. There was a big folk music, uh, center, and he went there to learn how to play 12-string guitar, and came out of that bag. And David Crosby was in New York playing in the Greenwich Village, and Chris Chris Hillman was a mandolin player with a group called Scottsdale Squirrel Barkers, and let me see who else. And then let's see, and then Gene, he I think he was a part of that group. We had Kenny Rogers and what the heck was the name of that band? Oh, I can't think of it. It was a large scale folk
Yeah, I know
band.
you
He was
mean.
in
That's
that,
fine. Yeah, yeah.
and then Michael Clark was a jazz drummer that played with them. So we were all building our thing in Los Angeles at that time, so we knew each other. In fact, one of the great gigs that we got in Los Angeles was at Ciro's, where the Birds were playing when their version of "Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man" hit big, and they had to be on the Ed Sullivan Show. So we, Rising Suns, got to fill in for them. But I knew those guys on first name basis, and then Jim McGuinn and Jesse Lee Kincaid, who played in the Rising Suns,
Yeah.
he hit. They had. You know, uh, had dated the same woman at some time and another. So, I knew him from that kind of thing, and I had different kinds of encounters with him. But I liked Gene a lot. He was a very interesting man. His energy was incredible, and his songs were beautiful. He just wrote, he just wrote the tone of his songs and the where they were, how the atmosphere that they were couched in was really, something that drew you in, or drew me in anyway. I thought he was one of the good writers in that band.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, also, you've worked with all the other blues greats, haven't you? What was it like with Howlin' Wolf, who's another larger than life character, your experiences with him.
Well, what those guys were the big examples of what went before. They were the answer. I was raised to acknowledge and to uh, you know revere my ancestors,
Mm.
and those that went before. So these guys were, plowing the trail. And then, Wolf says it himself, that it was, Charlie Patton that taught him how to play. And it was clear that Patton had his mark on what Wolf did, but Wolf also had a whole lot of things. There just, you know, other than Patton, there was really nobody like him, except when you go to South Africa, you know, Malatini and the Mahotella Queens. And Malatini, and I don't know who the other guy is, but they're they're groaners, as they call them. And Malatini is the Lion of Soweto. And he has that same kind of Charlie Pat, you know, that kind of voice like that. And you know, those and they play against the rhythm. And I really enjoyed it. I remember the first time I heard that, I was like, whoa, Howlin' Wolf in South Africa, you know, and it's a spirit voice. But yeah, Wolf, you know, all those guys, Joseph Spence, Sleepy John Estes, and Yank Rachel, you know, Lightning Hopkins, you know, there was there was a great club in Los Angeles called the Ash Grove,
Yeah.
ASH. Yeah, oh, that was a great place. ASHGROVE. Man, that's all they played was the great guys. You know, Lightning Hopkins all week long, 2 sets a night. Come on, you know, where are you going to go to see that?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Booker White, Fred McDowell, Mississippi John Hurt, you know, Big Mama Thornton, you know,
Mm.
Albert King,
Mm.
you know, Buddy Guy and Junior Wells, you know, I mean, just you know, on and on. The Chambers Brothers, you know, just great, one great group after another. You know, the
Fantastic.
Georgia Sea Island Singers. You know,
Yeah. So just I think our time is going to wrap up in 2 minutes. I think on my Zoom allotment. So just going to the cruise itself. But you could playing a long set on these shows.
oh, yeah, they're usually 90-minute sets.
Great.
So yeah, maybe we'll do three of them.
Yeah. And different, like you say, you don't have a set list, so it'll be all jumbled up at each other night.
Well, yeah. We have plenty of material. We can start wherever we want, and we want to see people up dancing and enjoying themselves.
Taj, that's a brilliant term to finish this interview with. It's been a joy to listen to you and talk to you. It really has been. And yeah, may the sun keep shining on your back.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.